Good evening. We'll call this meeting to order for the November 22nd, 2022 Apple Valley City Council meeting. I'd like to welcome both our in-person and virtual audiences to the meeting and make a very brief announcement. For our in-person attendees, when your name is called, please approach the podium to address the council. For our virtual attendees during the meeting, if you have any questions or comments for the audience participation portion, please press the raise hand symbol and the meeting organizer will notify us that you'd like to speak. And with that, I'd like everyone to rise and start us off with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The second item on our agenda is to approve the agenda. And Tom, do we have any changes this evening?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. No changes to tonight's agenda.
All right, no changes. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion from Grendel and a second from Bergman. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, and the agenda carries. Next item on our agenda is the audience participation portion of the meeting. This is for items not on the regular agenda. And meeting organizer, are there any questions or comments from the audience?
Mr. Mayor, there is no one at this time wishing to speak.
Thank you. And for our in-person attendees, is there anyone here who would like to speak to an item not on the agenda? All right, seeing none, we will close the audience participation portion of the meeting. And before I move on to our consent agenda, I just want to thank everybody who came out for our tree lighting this evening. Thank the Rave Brass Band, who you could still faintly hear in the background here as we got started, as well as the Apple Valley Choirs and Director Joel Byer for coming out tonight to entertain us for tree lighting. So thanks everybody for that. The next item on our agenda is to approve our consent agenda. These items are considered routine and will be enacted with a single motion unless a council member or citizen requests to pull an item. Council members, are there any items you would like to pull? Citizens, are there any items that you would like to pull this evening? We'll start with our virtual audience. Meeting organizer, are there any items anyone in the virtual meeting would like to pull?
Mayor, there are none at this time.
Thank you. And for our in-person attendees, are there any items to pull from consent this evening? All right, seeing none, we'll take a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
A motion from Melander and a second from Goodwin. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed. Consent items carry unanimously. Brings us to the first item on our regular agenda, which is the introduction of K9 Moose and the recognition of Red's Chop Shop for the support of our K9 program. And Chief Francis has this item.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Do we have? Okay. I think navigating the
Crowd.
musical chairs and the crowd out there, yes. But I want to just take a minute here to welcome Moose and introduce him to our community. As you can see, he's a big boy. Hence the name Moose. Here's a picture of him up top, and we got a few pictures just want to walk through for folks that may be watching online and not able to kind of see Moose in person here. He's a Dutch Shepherd, was born May 4th, so any Star Wars fans, May the 4th be with you. He'll be celebrating that every year, and came from Poland. He arrived in the U.S. in July 2022, so a little bit over a year old, did kind of some just basic training and orientation overseas. As soon as he landed, he was partnered with Officer Witowski and has been with him ever since. Training school began August 15th, so they did have about a month to kind of acclimate together and kind of get ready for the training. The school that we have gone for our last two canines, Virgil and Moose, have both attended McDonough Canine Training School. We've had great success with that school and really found that it prioritizes the right things for the training and has a really good reputation. 14 weeks of hard work together was completed November 18th, so just finished up here, graduated and ready for patrol. Their first shift is tomorrow, right? So getting sworn in or getting introduced to the community just in time and he's trained in apprehension, tracking, and article search. Typically, they go through that and then maybe a narcotics school, or is narcotics school through this too? Yep. So narcotics is already done as well, and so he's ready to hit the street, fully trained. We want to take an opportunity to thank Red from Red's Chop Shop. Red, do you want to come up? Red's Chop Shop is a barber shop here in Apple Valley. They started Operation Chopper over a year ago and backed the Blue Tuesdays to pay for the purchase of moose. Tuesday businesses, all Tuesday haircuts donated. Was it the first $5 of every haircut? First $5 of every haircut, and as you could imagine, folks coming in, getting the haircut, probably spent much more than $5 into the jar and into the hopper for this project. So Red and his community raised over $10,000 in a year for the purchase of the dog. And we worked with the Apple Valley Community Crime Prevention Association to get that donation in and get payment made to McDonough's. And now working on raising funds for a vest.
We did, and I actually just got confirmation earlier today that we raised enough. We met the goal for the vest for moose as well. So I don't know if you guys knew that yet.
Okay, excellent. As you can see here, this is a picture of Red's Chop Shop. This was, when did you do that? Was that August or July?
Middle of August.
Middle of August. He had a barbecue, little car show, and as you can see, just the community that's helping and supporting Red's Chop Shop there is pretty impressive. We had a lot of folks down there that were there to celebrate, to meet moose, and to just support Red's Chop Shop, and in turn supporting our community and our canine program. So I want to give Red a round of applause. Thank you. And here is there's a nice fall picture of moose. If you are able, maybe if you guys can stand, and I'd like to get a picture with Officer Witowski and Moose, and maybe we'll just.
Get Red up here.
Where would you like us?
Yeah, Red, you want to come up?
Gary wanted us up here.
Where you want us up here?
Ready? You want to eat your back end?
Oh, that's okay, I'll just stay right here.
We're supposed to go. All right,
Yeah.
Yes, the last thing I would like to do is, as we do with our new officers, we have them take the oath of office. Moose's English is not the best. He's still speaking mostly Polish and a little Czech, but I will translate the oath of office for Moose. I, Moose, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the state of Minnesota and faithfully discharge the duties of the office of Canine Police Dog of the city of Apple Valley and the county of Dakota and state of Minnesota to the best of my judgment and ability. So help me God. Subscribed and sworn to me before this 22nd day of November, 2022. Congratulations. Welcome, Moose.
Welcome, Moose. Thank you, Officer Wistowski. Thank you, Red, for your support of the police department and our program and the vest for the dog. I also understand your generosity hasn't ended there. You've got another event, and you didn't know I was going to do this, so I apologize. You're taking some time on Friday, I believe, this week to also raise some funds for a family in need in the community through your shop.
Everything we make on Friday, from haircuts, tips, sales, and donations, is being donated to a local family that needs help for Christmas.
Oh, that's nice.
Thank you.
Thanks much. We're going to step out and take a few pictures, and I'll be right back in. Thanks.
For those, as they step out, for those who couldn't hear Red's comment, everything he's doing Friday at the shop, his tips, his sales, everything coming through the door is going back out to a family in need. I know the microphone probably couldn't pick that up for those who are watching, so thank you. Red. All right, as they make their way out, we'll move on to 5B, which is the issuance of our general obligation capital improvement plan bonds and proposal to add a capital improvement plan, and Ron's gonna take this item.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. The city council set aside this evening to hold a public hearing on a 2023 through 27, a 5-year facilities capital improvement plan. This is similar to the one we did 2 years ago, which was 21 through 25. And, well, when we get into it, we'll see it's the same projects, just updated costs, more, up to date as more of the project information has come in. This is just a rendering of the Fire Station 2 that's being contemplated at this time. The facilities capital improvement plan, it can only include projects that are eligible to be financed with capital improvement bonds as provided in statute 475.521, which are limited to essential services such as public safety, public works, and city hall facilities. And it may not include parks, light rail, roads and bridges, or land for each one of those. As we look at the projects can be moved between years, or they can be, dropped altogether. And projects, once they're included in the plan and in the adopted plan, rather, no additional projects or locations can be added without an amended plan or a new plan going forward. The facilities capital improvement plan has to consider a number of factors. We believe that the printed document that was presented along with the agenda addresses each of these: the condition of the existing facilities, need for repair and replacement, demand for the improvement, estimated costs, public resources available, level of overlapping debt between the county and the school, and of course relative benefits and costs of alternative uses of the funds, and of course also considering the operating cost of any proposed improvements, along with alternatives for providing the services most efficiently through shared facilities with other municipalities or local governments. Some of the projects, or the projects included, is the new police operations garage building, constructing fire station number 2, modifications, addition of decontamination areas and gear storage at fire stations 1 and 3, some central maintenance facility remodeling and expansion of the vehicle storage area, a new vehicle maintenance area, renovation of the existing maintenance and shop areas, along with some central maintenance facility office area modifications and improvements, along with remodeling the maintenance garage at Johnny Cake East, the park maintenance garage facility out there. If we put some numbers to that, the authority that the capital improvement plan is seeking would totals 41 million, and it is made up of these projects: the police operations garage, 9.9 million, Johnny Cake East maintenance facility, 600,000, new vehicle storage and shop reorganization, 7.7 million, 8.3 million for a new vehicle maintenance area, renovations of central maintenance facility, 3.7 million, along with exterior improvements of 2 million, and then 8 million for rebuilding towards the fire stations 2 rebuilding and renovations at 1 and 3, along with bond issuance costs. I want to point out that this 41 million of additional authority is in addition to the bonds that were issued in 2021 and 2022, which total approximately 14 million. So, and these same projects were included in those bonds. So the the funding is somewhat fluid, and they will be having the council, as we get closer to construction completion, finalizing the funding and which bond each project would come out of. The bonding authority, right now, we're not considering any immediate issuance of bonds. If you recall, we just had the council have a bond, we just had a bond sale that closed just today, actually, that the council awarded at the last meeting. We do anticipate some bonds, depending on how the construction plans and bids come in and the projects commence. We could be looking at a bond issue sometime in 2023, which debt service would begin then in 24. And we're currently contemplating, of the 41 million authority, that it would be a series of bonds, likely be 4 bonds, possibly 5 bonds, but they must be issued. The authority expires in 5 years, so it must be issued within 5 years. The public hearing is one of the requirements, and that's the action this evening. It is subject to a reverse referendum within a 30-day period following the public hearing. We find that even the 41 million, if assuming all the bonds are issued, would still be within the statutory limit, debt service limit of 0.16% of the estimated market value, which in this case is 11.7 million per year in debt service. We're well under that. It's also within our city local debt limit policy of 1.5% of the total estimated market value, which in this case is approximately 117 million. We have approximately 32 million in outstanding bonds that this would be in addition to. If we assume the debt is issued over the next 4 years, this would be the additional debt service. The first year would add approximately 693,000. Second year would take that up to 1.3 million. The next year up to 2.1 million, and then assuming all 41 million, which is not, it's depending on our project needs. The authority does not obligate the city council to issue any bonds in the future. It just provides the ability to do so. The pay 2024, if we assume additional 693,000 in debt service, is approximately $30 a year impact to the median value home. And if we assume all 4 issues over that 4 years, it'd be approximately $124 per year for the median value home. We also invest, in addition to our capital improvement debt service and existing park bond levies, we also invest each year in other capital improvements, such as the infrastructure and road street replacement program. That's the chart on the right. We've got the vehicle and equipment charges each year. We've got municipal building fund, park facilities, fire facilities funds, in addition to the existing levies that I just mentioned and the upcoming bond levies. So in 2022, that's about 8.2 million. If we assume, and looking at at last year's CIP for other facilities, we would be within 5 years, we'll be up to approximately 12.8 million in annual investment in capital improvements. The projects include police storage operations and garage facility, which is currently in a converted cold storage building, has a number of issues, including insufficient lighting, air quality, lack of plumbing, restrooms, locker rooms. This new building would include the ability for the facility to serve as an emergency operations center backup site. It'll provide briefing and training rooms, and of course it'll include compliant heating, ventilation, along with the addition of locker rooms, restrooms, and along, of course, in the garage facility, vehicle storage. In the CMF office area, currently the space is undersized for the current staff. They're going to include updates in the counter area, address indoor air quality concerns. We currently have multiple HVAC units that have been added on as the building has been remodeled over the decades, and then the age and condition of the mechanical systems in the vehicle areas. And then they want to consolidate a lot of the technology infrastructure and add dedicated cooling and electrical upgrades throughout. Excuse me. The existing lunchroom, which serves as a training room, and then they want to add some locker rooms. They're currently undersized for existing staff. They lack elevator access to the upper levels. They need to expand the area for the computer use, which the employees use for entering timesheets, training, paperwork, et cetera. They'll add additional locker rooms with larger lockers and providing for a larger training space, along with a larger lunchroom area, which they both address the same needs. Vehicle maintenance area, we would include a new maintenance area, which will include larger work bays, additional overhead clearance, large overhead doors, including overhead crane, replacement of the HVAC system, an additional truck hoist, along with lighting. In the vehicle storage area, existing space is currently undersized for the amount of equipment that we currently have, requiring vehicles to be parked in drive lanes where you have to shuttle vehicles and pieces of equipment to get at other pieces and then put them back. And then when you return at the end of the day, you go through the same exercise. So this new addition will provide space for all the equipment to be stored indoors, which should prolong its life. They're talking, as one of the projects is the expansion of the CMF facility, along with consolidating some of the uses. So some of the areas will be remodeled and repurposed. Carpentry, signs, we have a welding area, centralized storage, mechanical, electrical systems will all be remodeled, consolidated, and repurposed throughout. And the fire stations, Fire Station 2 was built in 1979, remodeled in 2003. It serves as the location for the duty crew, which staffs out of there. They have number of building deficiencies and an inefficient site layout. Current needs include roofs, garage door. There's no backup generator, emergency lighting, such as that. The new facility will expand the bays for equipment storage and provide clear gear turnout and decontamination areas in each of the stations. The future city council action, as I mentioned, tonight's action provides the authority to issue bonds, does not obligate the city council to issue any bonds in the future. At the very earliest we could issue bonds, even if we started now, would be 2023. But right now, the fire station is in the bidding process. So we'll be getting some firmer numbers and moving forward with that. We may look to the city council to issue in 2023. Based on previous city council direction, we're assuming a 25-year bonding term, and the debt service on whatever level of bond we issue is approximately $67,000 for each $1 million bond issue in current rate environment. And the tax impact for each $1 million issued is approximately $3 per year. So if there is 41 million that's issued, it would be $123 on the median value home. The actions this evening is, one, conduct the public hearing, and then following that, consider adopting the resolution giving preliminary approval for the issuance of general obligation capital improvement plan bonds in an amount not to exceed 41 million and adopting the capital improvement plan for 2023 through 2027. With that, I'm available for questions, or we can go right to the public hearing.
All right, let's start with any questions for Ron from council. If we don't have any questions, we will go ahead and open the public hearing for the issuance of the general obligation capital improvement plan bonds and proposal to adopt a capital improvement plan. Do we have anyone in the virtual audience who would like to speak to the public hearing?
Mayor, at this time, there is no one wishing to speak.
Thank you. Do we have anyone in the in-person audience who would like to speak to the public hearing? One final opportunity. Anyone who would like to speak to the public hearing? More entertaining up here when you can see almost a completely empty room when you ask that question. So we will go ahead and close the public hearing, and we will move on to adopting the resolution giving preliminary approval to issuance of general obligation capital improvement plan bonds.
So move.
Motion from Goodwin,
Second.
second from Bergman. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, and that item carries. And we'll move on to 5C, which is the renewal of the on-sale liquor and wine licenses for 2023. And Pam, would you like to get us started on this item?
Yes, I would. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Before you this evening is the public hearing on the renewal of on-sale liquor licenses for 2023 for intoxicating liquor, wine, and 3.2% malt liquor, as well as the action on issuance of on-sale intoxicating liquor and wine licenses for 2023. Section 11124 requires the city council to hold a public hearing on all on-sale renewal applications. And on October 27th, the city council set this evening for the public hearing for 19 on-sale intoxicating liquor and special license for Sunday liquor sales, 5 on-sale wine licenses, and 6 on-sale 3.2% malt liquor licenses. And the list of those licensees and their addresses is included in your packet. Proper notice was posted in the city's official newspaper, and that affidavit of publication is on file, and no comments have been received to date. Both the police and fire departments reviewed the list of licensees. The police department reviewed their calls for service and found no violations or patterns of violations significant to have a bearing on the renewal. The fire department reviewed the fire code compliance checks. Neither department found anything that would preclude the licensees from being renewed. The finance department checked the Dakota County records and confirms all property taxes for restaurants who own the licensed premises are current. Neither the Minnesota Department of Health or Minnesota Department of Agriculture have indicated any issues with any of these licensees. The clerk's office checked the Minnesota Department of Revenue's delinquent taxpayers list, and none of the licensees are listed. City code requires final payment of the license fees and issuance of documents to be submitted by December 15th. The actual licenses would not be issued until all the insurance documents are received and all fees are paid. All current licenses will expire on December 31st, 2022, and the renewal licenses will expire on December 31st of 2023. Action on the renewal of the licenses for the 3.2% malt liquor will be requested at the December 8th City Council meeting. They are only included this evening for the public hearing purpose only. All 3.2% malt liquor licenses will be presented to the council for consideration on December 8th. There are 2 items before the City Council this evening. First, the public hearing for all on-sale licenses in intoxicating liquor, wine, and 3.2% malt liquor, and then subject to any comments that may be received at the hearings, the council may conditionally authorize renewal of the on-sale intoxicating liquor, on-sale wine, and special licenses for Sunday liquor sales. That action may be made in one motion, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Pam. Before we move on to the public hearing and other items, I'd just like to invite Nick to come up, our police chief, for a second. Somewhere in the past year or so, we had somebody come and speak to a particular licensee in town and some issues they were having with them. And we've also heard some noise complaints kind of in our central downtown area. And so, Nick, I know you had your folks out doing some checks, maybe over and above what we normally would do at this time. Do you want to just kind of, for the good of the public, talk about what you've done?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Yeah, it was within the last year, we had a business owner and community member come forward reporting some incidents, kind of prolonged incidents that were affecting beyond that bar's property. It was affecting neighboring properties, and there was a weapons incident at one of our bars. And we spoke during the council goal-setting session to make sure that the police department prioritized kind of the safety around these bars in our community. And so for a long time, we've always responded to calls for service, reviewed the liquor licenses and all that. But within the past year here, we've added even more proactive observation, I'll say, not even enforcement, proactive observation of all of our bars in town. Some of them are quite busy, especially in the summertime, patios, people coming and going. And I think with maybe a combination of pandemic and then kind of the uncertainty of how bars are operating and maybe even some staffing levels, some of the bars in town were creating a little bit more of a problem than we were traditionally used to. So what we did is we scheduled some of our specialty folks, some investigations, some folks from our investigations, our community impact unit, our special enforcement team, and every weekend through the summer, they spent at least one summer night, one weekend night every week, just kind of spending time around these bars and observing things outside of a marked squad car. And so we had our folks out in the community. They were in unmarked cars, and they'd patrol around and just spend some time. And there were a couple minor issues here or there that we would see. One of the issues that came up previously was a COVID rule of kind of creating some of that exterior space, and maybe they had a little bit more leeway to have some of that exterior space without all of the physical barriers, and they were able to kind of expand to allow for social distancing. When we saw any of those violations, we approached the bar and said, hey, the COVID rules are over now. Now you're back to your old normal rules where the alcohol has to be consumed inside. A very couple brief visits and issues like that was what our folks saw. And so outside of those visits, the officers just spent time downtown and around our bars and found that staffing levels were pretty good at these bars, behavior of folks coming and going. The bars did a good job of spending a little bit of time, staff time, helping folks get to their cars and get off the property and not just get them outside of the doors and shut the doors and close up for the night. So we did have good success just proactively going out, meeting with our bars and just making sure they are aware of what our expectations are and what the impact is around the surrounding entities around them. And we took that on this year, and it's something that we'll likely do here moving forward, especially kind of that seasonal. You get into the summer when the patios are open and more people are out, and we'll continue doing that just to make sure we do have good relationships between the business owners and the bars know that we are a resource for them as well. If they have issues, they have repeated customers that are causing problems, we can certainly help get those folks trespassed and move them out.
Great, thank you. Any questions for Chief Francis from the council? Thanks for that update.
Yep.
Are there questions for Pam from council? If not, we will go ahead and open our public hearing for the renewal of our on-sale and wine licenses for 2023. Is there anyone in the room who would like to speak to the public hearing? For our virtual audience, is there anyone who would like to speak to the public hearing? And
Mayor, there is no one at this time wishing to speak.
Thank you. And one last opportunity for our in-person attendees who would like to speak at the public hearing. Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. We would look for a resolution to adopt a resolution approving the renewals of the intoxicating liquor and wine licenses subject to completion of submissions.
So moved.
Motion from Melander and a second from Grendel. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that item carries. Before we move on, right, we do this at this time once a year, but, you know, these licenses are issued and can be revoked by the same body that issues them if there is cause, and we've had that very rarely happen, but occasionally, in my history, right, PD has brought at least one license back to us and said we might need to consider what we do, and so just know that if things do come up, this isn't a free pass for a year. This does give us a chance to review licensees and behavior and those kind of things going forward. So with that, that's the last item on our agenda. Do we have anything for community staff and council communications? We'll start with council. Are there any items to communicate? Seeing none, staff, are there any items tonight?
Mr. Mayor, just one. This actually is a item that we found out about here recently that we really should add to the calendar of upcoming events. So over the course of the last year, we've all watched the Riser building going up. This is on Galaxy Avenue and Founders Lane. They have announced that they're going to be having their grand opening on Tuesday, December the 6th at 4 o'clock at their facility there. So as we move on to the calendar of upcoming events, it'd be good to add that one to the list.
Perfect. Thank you for that. If there are no other items, that does bring us to the calendar of upcoming events. The next informal city council meeting is Thursday, December 8th at 5:30. The next regular city council meeting is Thursday, December 8th at 7. And a reminder that the city offices are closed Thursday, November 24th and Friday, November 25th in observance of the Thanksgiving holiday. With that, we would look for a motion to approve the calendar of upcoming events with the addition of the Riser Grand Opening on December 6th at 4 p.m.
So moved.
Second.
Motion from Bergman and a second from Grendel. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that item carries. It's the last item on our agenda. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Motion from Grendel, a second from Bergman. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, that carries. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Thank you.